You may have seen videos warning people not to quit their jobs because of how tough the job market is right now.
Thank you, AI. You have literally taken my friend away because you took her job. My friend works at Amazon, and I recently found out that she had an ultimatum of moving to one of the big hubs or no longer having a job.
Do not leave your job right now. I don't know if they told y'all, but it's crazy out here.
So I got fired from Mercedes-Benz today, and I'm going to tell you guys why.
Keep your job. And if you don't like the job you got right now, don't leave until you secure another one.
I wanted to share my story today as a cautionary tale for those of you that are planning on or have a desire to quit your current job.
But it is particularly brutal for new graduates. It's a nightmare moment for young America. Fresh graduates, armed with a degree but weighed down with debt, are walking straight into closed doors. The US graduate unemployment rate has soared to its highest level since 1988. For the class of 2025, the American dream looks less like a pathway to prosperity and more like a shutdown. Figures from the Federal Reserve Bank of Richmond revealed that 13.4% of unemployed Americans in July were new to the workforce, including recent school and college graduates. This is the highest share since 1988, when the baby boomer generation was entering the job market in large numbers. From college campuses to so-called real world, the journey for Generation Z is turning into a harsh wake-up call. They were told that education was the golden ticket. They were told that if they worked hard, studied long, and invested in a degree, you'd step into a stable, rewarding career. But a shocking number of graduates are now discovering that reality looks very different. Degrees that once promised stability are no longer a guarantee of employment. The question is, who or what is to blame? The data paints a stark picture. Graduate unemployment is at levels not seen since the late 1980s. Back then, the US economy was wrestling with inflation, high interest rates, and global competition. Today, the challenges are eerily similar, but with new complications. Instead of just battling recessions and global rivalries, graduates now face the rise of artificial intelligence, unstable supply chains, and evolving culture in the workplace. For Gen Z, this means fewer opportunities, harsher competition, and a growing sense of betrayal. The old promise of study hard, get a degree, land a job, feels broken. Some analysts are quick to point the finger at Trump-era policies. They argue that trade wars, tariffs, and an aggressive approach to global economics created ripple effects across industries. Manufacturing, agriculture, and even tech felt the shockwaves. Supply chains were destabilized, costs went up, and companies pulled back on hiring. For graduates, that meant that entry-level positions dried up. Companies that once absorbed thousands of young workers every year froze recruitment. Industries that had historically offered graduate pipelines, from automotive plants to marketing agencies, suddenly looked shaky. But to be clear, it would be too simplistic to lay all the blame on Trump-era policies. The challenges that graduates face today are rooted in longer-term shifts that began well before 2016. The outsourcing of jobs overseas, the rise of automation, and the lingering aftershocks of the 2008 financial crisis have already weakened the entry-level job market. Outsourcing gained momentum as far back as the 1970s, when President Nixon opened trade relations with China, and it accelerated in the 1990s under President Clinton through NAFTA in 1994 and steps that led to China's 2001 entry into the World Trade Organization, making global supply chains and lower-cost labor more attractive to US companies. In other words, Trump's tariffs and trade wars added pressure to a system that was already under strain. The reality is that the graduate job crisis is not the product of a single presidency, but the result of decades of economic transformation. Critics say the legacy of those policies is still with us today, years later. The environment of uncertainty they created hasn't disappeared. And when businesses face uncertainty, they won't gamble on bringing in large groups of fresh graduates. they simply cut back. But to stop the story there would be too simple. What graduates are experiencing is not only part of a structural shift in the economy influenced by presidential policies dating back to the 1970s, they are also experiencing a strong disruption in the labour market, and at the centre of this disruption is technology. Artificial intelligence is no longer a distant threat. It's here. Entry-level roles that once served as a stepping stone for young professionals are being automated. Content creation, basic data analysis, digital marketing, these were the bread and butter starting jobs for many graduates. Today, AI tools are taking over, completing tasks in minutes that once required junior staff. And there are plenty of examples to prove it. IBM has reportedly eliminated around 8,000 positions. A wide majority of layoffs affected human resources. The layoffs come after IBM announced that it has applied for artificial intelligence extensively and profoundly, especially in terms of back office roles. Accenture, the global consulting firm, announced cuts of 19,000 jobs in 2023, citing automation and AI adoption as part of their restructuring. This automation wave doesn't just mean fewer jobs, it reshapes entire career ladders. If the entry-level rungs are gone, how do you climb the career ladder? For many Gen Z graduates, the ladder itself feels broken. And even in industries where jobs still exist, the hiring process has become a minefield. Reports of ghosting, where companies vanish after interviews, are skyrocketing. At the same time, candidates are experiencing what's called catfishing, where employers misrepresent the role, painting it as a more secure or better paid than it really is. Online, countless graduates share stories of applying to hundreds of jobs without receiving so much as a single reply, leaving them frustrated, disillusioned, and questioning the value of their hard-earned degrees. The result is a trust gap. So what does this mean for the future of work? Generation Z is entering adulthood during one of the most unstable labour markets in modern history. They're carrying record levels of student debt, but the opportunities to pay it off are shrinking. They are the most digitally native generation, but also one of the most exposed to digital disruption. The story of the class of 2025 is bigger than just one graduating year. It's a warning sign about the shifting foundations of the US economy. The American dream was built on the idea that hard work and education guaranteed mobility. But for many Gen Z graduates, the dream is slipping out of reach. The debt problem makes this even worse. Student loans in America now total more than $1.7 trillion. For Gen Z, that means stepping into adulthood already weighed down by repayments that can stretch decades into the future. When you pair the debt burden with a collapsing job market, the equation doesn't add up. Graduates feel trapped. Instead of building wealth, buying homes, or starting families, they're stuck in survival mode. Compare this to earlier generations. Baby boomers entered the workforce at a time when college was cheaper and jobs were plentiful. Even Generation X and millennials, whilst facing their own hurdles, had stronger employment pipelines. Gen Z is different. They are highly educated, but their degrees are worth less in the market. They are the most connected generation, but the technology is actively taking away their opportunities. This disconnect is reshaping culture. Many graduates are turning to the gig economy, not out of choice, but out of necessity. Driving for delivery apps, freelancing online, piecing together part-time roles. This is what survival looks like for thousands of new degree holders. But the gig economy doesn't offer the stability or the benefits of traditional jobs. No health insurance, no retirement plans, no career progression. Just endless hustling. The social contract of higher education, that a degree leads to opportunity, feels broken. Universities continue to raise tuition, selling the dream that their graduates will thrive, but the reality doesn't match the promise. Parents are questioning whether college is still worth the price. Young people are questioning whether the debt is worth the gamble. And society as a whole is questioning what happens when an entire generation feels shortchanged. But there's also resilience. Gen Z is resourceful. They are tech-savvy, entrepreneurial, and socially aware. Many are creating their own jobs, building businesses online, or carving out unconventional careers. Some are leveraging AI, not as a threat, but as a tool to build new opportunities. This generation may be facing the toughest start in decades, but they also have unique tools previous generations never had. The class of 2025 may be struggling, but their story is not finished. The dream isn't dead, it's being redefined. The question now is whether America will adapt fast enough to give its youngest workers a fair chance, or whether the American dream will remain a closed door for the very generation meant to carry it forward.